Well, thank you for tuning in. You're listening to WSLR LP 96.5 FM Sarasota and WBPV LP 100.1 FM Bradenton. I'm your host, DJ Nomad. This is SynthWorld, and I am here with singer, producer, recording artist, and video game soundtrack composer. I don't want to forget that. Megan McDuffie. Megan, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks so much for the invite.
Absolutely. And I don't want to forget to speak about your the video game soundtracks you've done. I didn't put that in the questions and I foolishly, so I'm going to make sure I squeeze one of those in there. But before we get into any of that, I do want to just kind of put you on the map for the Synth World listeners. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you're just north of Seattle. Is that
Yep,
correct?
that's correct. I'm about 15 minutes north of North Seattle.
Okay, cool. So love the city, great area. I actually lived in Seattle for a few months when I was younger.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I lived in a tiny little, I guess you would call it suburb just north of Seattle, maybe 10 minutes, called Wallingford. I'm
Okay,
guessing
yeah.
you know of it. It's a small little
Yeah. Yeah, I'm familiar.
super cute. It was next to Fremont, which was a little bit younger and hipper of an area. Had a bunch of like breweries and restaurants. So I loved it there. That was a great city. I had to leave for other circumstances, but loved it there. So hopefully I'll get back. And certainly a good vibe or setting for the kind of music that you produce. Are you originally from there or did you move there?
We moved here, actually, it's exactly 5 years ago this month. So I'm not originally from here. I am from just north of San Francisco and kind of the greater San Francisco Bay Area.
Oh wow. Okay, so that's two places we have in common. That's crazy. The other place that I lived out in the West was Oakland, California,
Oh,
in the
my
Bay
God, small world.
Area. Yeah, I was only there for like 2 or 3 years before I moved here to Florida, but loved it there as well. Didn't run away from the Bay Area or Seattle. It was more of a relationship kind of thing. So
Yeah, all right. Yeah, both good areas. The East Bay was not always my favorite, but I grew up in the North Bay area and then
Uh-huh.
moved down to kind of Silicon Valley area. Oh, and I was in Santa Cruz for like 13 years. So that's kind of like my
Oh,
second home base.
okay, cool. All right. I mean, Santa Cruz is really cool. Only visited there once or twice, but did that maybe give you some of your like the punk rock kind of edge that your music dabbles in?
I mean, I kind of just grew up listening to rock and roll, so who knows? It's been in me forever.
Okay, very cool. Well, that's a great, perfect segue into my kind of like first or second question here, which is kind of how you fell in love with music to begin with. So your roots were in rock. Do you remember that kind of like Genesis moment where you like developed a real serious passion?
I mean, I don't remember any defining moment per se. I was just always into music. Like since I could walk, I was plunking around on keyboards and xylophones, and I carried a little tape recorder around with me to get sounds from anything I could, just to like analyze and listen to it later. I was a very sound oriented person. I still am.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I just kind of infused myself with music from a super early age. Started, piano lessons when I was 8. Started doing performance and choir and all of that when I was 12. So that continued all the way through till I was like 22. So yeah, it's just kind of just been there the whole time and never wanted to do anything else with my life.
A lifeline passion. That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great. And again, not a surprise if you listen to your music, which I think, for someone like myself who found your music through like social media, that they'll know you mostly for your vocal skills, which are incredible. But I think just listening to your catalog, the thing that stands out is the production side of things in my mind. And
Thanks.
yeah, yeah, I was truly impressed by that. And so, we'll dive into that a little further. But So do you have anybody that you would like maybe want to credit, shout out, if you will, in your life that kind of maybe steered you down the road that became your like your sound, your style?
Well, I mean, I definitely have to kind of shout out my parents for being fully supportive of my vision. Like from an early age, it was never like, oh yeah, music is a hobby, like maybe we'll support this. But they were all in all the time. The fact that they were willing to foster the creativity and pay for my piano lessons and my choir expeditions to foreign countries, stuff like that. And I'm forever grateful in that way. But yeah, they were just like, explore what you want to explore. So that's awesome.
That's how every parent should be, I think, right? Let
Yeah.
it be up to
Yeah.
you and try to support you no matter what it is you choose, as long as it's healthy, right?
Yeah.
Somewhat
Yeah.
productive. So where did you go on these choir trips? You have to go down too deep with that, but I'm curious.
Oh, I got to go to some really cool places. Let's see. Australia for one. That was super cool. We did like kind of a home share. I don't know what you would call it, but people from my choir, we were over in Sydney and Melbourne. We kind of paired off and lived with Australian families while we were
Mhm.
staying in certain places. And then we would kind of coalesce and do the choral competitions. So that was really cool. And
Yeah.
I also got to go to Germany and Austria, to Vienna and Munich, because
Oh,
very
okay.
big choir competitions happen there, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
So those two places definitely stand out. So thanks, mom and dad, for seeing that this wasn't just a hobby. Um, but as far as like an artist or bands that really kind of got to me, there have been so many. It's really hard to narrow down. But I think if I had to, I would say like early high school, my friend showed me Depeche Mode, and I
Mhm.
was just immediate. I don't know. It was like I found a conduit. Like this has been in my head. How is it like their sound also? Yeah.
They were expressing things that you had felt but never knew how to maybe express yourself.
Yes, yes, both lyrically and tonally. They just had the sound that like I envisioned future me would have. So it was kind of a trip. It was like, oh my gosh, what is this? How do I how do I listen to this entire catalog?
How did the dots connected so much there? Yeah, yeah. I've had that feeling about an author and like kind of
Cool.
orator in my life where I'm like, man, he perfectly puts to words the feelings that I have, the things that I have inside of me. So yeah, oh, that's awesome. And yeah, not a surprise there. Obviously, you have that very like kind of like ethereal, haunting kind of style with your voice that's almost reminiscent of like opera or something like that sometimes. I mean that
Oh, that's
in a
cool.
good
That,
way.
that's so interesting that that comes through. I don't think I've done so many interviews, but I don't think anybody's ever really pointed out that it sounds like I am from a classical background because I am. So
Oh
good on
yeah.
you for picking that up.
That was, yeah, I think you may have noticed. I totally, it was very evident that the person who wrote all of this music had like a background in music, classical music, and maybe even, I'd mentioned maybe even theater too, because like you'll get a lot of that kind of singing as well in theater. And obviously you have a pretty good variety of like tones you can go for and styles. So you're not one dimensional in that way, but yeah, I think the way almost like a siren of the sea is kind of how I would describe it. Like it's very yeah, haunting and like pulls you in all at the same time. So
I have siren tattooed on me.
oh, you do?
I
Okay.
do.
Wow. Okay. So I'm getting some things here. Just what advice would you give to some, young female producer who is maybe hesitant to kind of embrace the like darker side of their music creativity?
I'd say just be authentic. If that darkness is there, explore it. Like, who cares? People can tell, even when everything is super candy coated and glossy on social media, but people can really tell when you're being authentic. That still comes through. So if you're a happy, bubbly sort of person and you have a happy, bubbly sort of song, go for it. If you want to scream and throw, go for it. Like, just be yourself. And yeah, that's my best advice for that.
It's kind of interesting dynamic because I've interviewed artists who do make the kind of happier sounding stuff, and sometimes they're almost like more intimidating in person, if you will. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like your music is very dark, but you come off even just in your Instagram videos as a very kind of soft presence and like someone who I'd run into at like a Ren fair wearing like a witch costume and selling some cool like stones or something like
Come buy
that.
my trinkets.
I think you'd be great at that. So, and I want to talk about Halloween later because I'm sure you probably have some, plans and some fun stuff for that. But do you remember when you first stumbled upon artists who were making the kind of music you make that has all of that darkness and whatnot, but still kind of harkens back to older, for you, I feel like it might be more like the 90s and early 2000s, but
Hmm.
what do you think about that? Do you remember how you touched on all that?
I do definitely recall coming across synthwave artists kind of before synthwave emerged as a genre term that people were using.
Mhm.
Um, Probably like 2011 is probably, I think when I was working, it was either 2011 or 2012, somewhere in there. I was working for iTunes at the time,
Oh,
and a lot of cool music would just sort of come across my desk and my workstation. People would suggest stuff to me, and I don't even remember how I found them, but I started listening to an artist called Tesla Boy. I don't know if you've heard of them.
yeah, yeah. Yep.
But yeah, super retro, very 80s, very kind of poppy. And then I also, around the same time, stumbled upon Mitch Murder, who I absolutely
Mhm.
love still,
Who you've worked with.
um, who I've worked with. Yeah, that
I
was
mean,
kind of
that's he's on
crazy.
like the Mount Rushmore of synthwave. So
Yeah,
that's even yeah, wow, congrats on that.
thanks. Yeah, I love that guy. Those two artists weren't like particularly dark, but it definitely was like, oh, people are still like people are bringing that 80s sound to now. I love this. Where can I find more of it?
Mhm.
So those two kind of spurned my interest in exploring what was a burgeoning genre.
You had me laughing so hard and just smiling reading some of your Bandcamp descriptions. I'm assuming you probably wrote those yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, some of those were really well written and thought through, and some were just kind of funny. And so I found one that I just had to pull aside and just I don't know, get your reaction to, which was an early track of yours. It said, "What if James Bond was a polar bear with a synthwave jazz theme song? It might sound like this." Uh, yeah, it was called True Professional. I guess, what was I think that was like what, 2016 or something like that, 2018?
It's an ancient one at this point.
Yeah, long, long time in your catalog. What was your state of mind then? And did you come up with the idea like before you wrote the track, or did you write it and then that kind of clicked in your head?
So I can't take any credit for that concept because that track was written for an indie video game
Hmm.
uh, where the protagonist is a polar bear spy. So
Hmm.
the developer really wanted kind of a synthy jazz fusion, and that is how that track came to be.
Okay. Yeah, so that must have been one of I don't know if that was on your Bandcamp. It probably was, but I didn't raid the game soundtracks as hard as I did kind of the rest of your music. But I did want to ask you about those because those are really cool. And I'll just mention a couple other ones that you did that I know you've gotten some attention for. River City Girls, I think one and two. Um,
Mhm.
Atari Recharged. Uh, Plunge, Mimic Arena. I'm trying to look through what's the last one. Was it Doom Buggy? Is that one as well? That might have just been a
That
track.
is from an Atari project.
Yeah, okay. So starting to connect iTunes. Now I'm seeing some of your connections to this world, but yeah, what was your, I've done so many of those. How did you get into doing that? And what was your, like, what's been your favorite one to do so far?
So how I got into video game scoring was that I'll step back a few levels. I went to college at UC Santa Cruz for film scoring, and I was like just gung ho on film scores, film soundtracks. I mean, I've always loved that, and I wanted to do that. I wanted to score films. And so, kind of, hustled after school, and the gigs weren't coming at me as much as I would have liked. And so a few years after I had graduated, I was like, okay, well, I love games as well. Might as well try to kind of explore that avenue. And went to GDC, which is the Game Developers Conference in San Francisco, happens every year. I was like, okay, I'm going to go where the game developers go. Where can I meet a ton of them all at once? And so I went. That was probably in 2013. I want to say. That was my first one. It was either 2011 or 2013. And I completely fell in love with the folks in that industry. Game developers are great. And I started getting work. I was like, okay, this is promising. This might actually work out way better than films. And so far it has. I've been doing that I guess it's been what, 13 years now since I've been doing music production full time, and like 80% of that is video game soundtracks.
Wow. Okay, yeah. Well, and it just shows, especially nowadays, there's money in video games. They have money to actually pay artists and stuff like that. For the most part, I know in some indie games that's less so, but wow, very cool. Do you have a favorite that you've done so far that
Oh,
kind
right.
of
That was
got
the
in
other
your
part of your
mind?
question. Uh, I probably River City Girls, the first one, simply because it was the biggest project I had worked on at that time, both in terms of scope of the project. I ended up doing 60 pieces of music for it over the
Wow.
span of 9 months. So that was the largest also, was the time frame. And then it had the biggest reach out of anything I had ever worked on at that time as well.
Hmm.
So it was like this huge behemoth of a project that I was super proud of. And then all of the validation came in that, yes, I should be proud of it because people really liked it. And I won a couple of awards, and like that kind of snowballed the rest of my video game soundtrack stuff because people would come to me after hearing that and say, hey, we got to get Megan for this soundtrack. So I owe a lot to that.
Yeah, for sure. I can't remember the first track of yours that I heard, but it was definitely one of those covers that you do, which is actually what this is actually my next question, which is want to know when you kind of officially thought of the idea and started doing these covers, because I think again, your covers could stand for themselves and on an album, and I'm sure you have done that maybe, but you have your whole catalog of music that you've written yourself that's amazing as well. So, but those definitely I think touch, talk about the nostalgia thing, right? Th Those hit a little different, and hearing the song remade in a different style. On some level, have to be honest, you've inspired me to do the same thing with our live shows, which
Cool.
is we'll take a song from, like the 90s or early 2000s, and we'll make it sound like synthwave or vaporwave or something like that. So yeah, when did you come up with, I mean, it's a genius idea. When did you like first decide to start doing that?
Well, thank you, first off. Um, I I honestly just kind of started it as an experiment. This would have been just over a year ago, so last summer, like
Mm.
June-ish.
Yeah.
Um, and I kind of had a moment where I was thinking, like, okay, what is going to get through to my target audience? And I knew that most people who listen to my soundtrack stuff or, some of my earlier artist releases are the same generation as you and I, millennial. So
Mm.
it was kind of like, okay, how can I best serve that demographic while also having fun? And I don't know, I feel like just kind of all of the pieces that I had thought about seemed to work together. I didn't even really necessarily plan that hard. It was kind of just like, I'm giving myself a production task just to kind of flex my muscles, and then I'll have content from this experiment. And lo and behold, the second one I posted went viral. It was like, really? This is all I needed to do this whole time that I was
Mhm.
just scratching my head and trying a million different things. Uh, so then, yeah, I just kind of went from there and started doing that more and more. Like, okay, what's another song that our generation used to love, and how can I flip it?
I always like to do kind of a lyric spotlight for anybody that does is a lyricist. And you've got a lot of songs you've written lyrics for, a lot of really cool. I mean, those were one I appreciate as a listener that you post your lyrics on some of the Bandcamp releases. I think that's awesome. And so I appreciate that. I do want to touch on your 2022 release, Villain. I can't remember. I think you may have collabed with someone on that, if I'm
I
not.
did, yeah.
Really great song. If you're listening, check that song out. That's a absolutely killer track. And I picked out a verse, I think it was maybe, or a couple lines here, and I just want to get your interpretation of what they mean because I was mildly confused, excited, interested, all at the same time. So here we go. Have you been dancing with the devil? I bet you see him in my eyes, blindly led by an urge so primal, and never again will you see the light. Yeah, what does that mean to you? What were you kind of channeling there?
So, yeah, Villain's one of my favorite tracks too.
Yeah.
I did that with a buddy of mine who's also been kind of in the synthwave scene since the beginning, called Alex in all caps. He's great. Love
Oh, it's
him.
Alex. I interviewed Alex. That's awesome.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's my homie. We've
great guy.
collabed on a million different things.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, we wanted to do something real dark, real edgy, and I usually kind of go to a narrative, theatrical, character-based mindset when I'm working on stuff. I don't know why that happens, but it does. And yeah, I just kind of had this image in my mind of some sort of witch seductress kind of singing to this person who comes to her door, that like he was led there by a primal urge or something he couldn't explain, and she's basically going to devour him. So that's
Like
kind
one
of,
of the spiders that eats her mate, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's awesome. Ample more questions to go. So much to talk about. And again, I feel like I've already unveiled new territory of making McDuffie that has to be explored. So I appreciate it. And this is some territory I think I try to explore with basically every artist that comes on. And you have a studio there, so I know you've got some stuff to talk about. Section I'm trying to call gear gossip. So give me a sense of, maybe your recording style generally. What DAW are you using? Yeah, let's start there. What DAW are you using?
I use Cubase.
Oh, okay, very cool. That I do not get that answer a lot. Have heard it a
Right.
couple times though. Yeah, okay. Is there any you don't have to go wax poetic if you don't want to, but is there any reason why you feel like that is the best DAW for you?
I forget how I ended up getting a copy of Cubase, but I think it was through a friend and I started using it. Yeah, I was just like, this is the most intuitive DAW I have ever tried. It just seemed like it was laid out really well. I could find everything. It did everything I needed it to do. It had um, video capabilities, so you could score to picture, which was, kind of what I was
For
focusing
that.
on at that point. Yeah, so it just, I don't know. Cubase and I just clicked.
So what do I see you or in some of your videos, you're playing, and maybe it's just kind of a baseline keyboard or something like that. But do you have a preference when it comes to synthesizers with VST versus analog?
I mean, don't get me wrong, I really love playing around with analog, but for how fast and efficient I need to be, kind of on the daily for either my own stuff or client deadlines, VSTs are just there. They're loaded. I don't have to sync anything. I don't have to wire anything. I don't have to like record back MIDI loop. Anyway, it's
Yeah.
just so much easier. Yeah.
Yeah, way more efficient, no doubt. But
Yep.
do you have a favorite piece of analog equipment that you keep around that you maybe touch on here and there, or
I
have you sold it
only
all?
I only have one piece of legitimate analog gear, and it's a Roland Juno 6.
Oh yeah,
My
okay.
mom found it at a yard sale when I was in college, and she bought it for me, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's amazing."
You still have that one?
Yep, I still have that one from, well, it was made in 88, and I think I acquired it in probably 2006.
Okay, wow.
She's
Throwback.
old now.
Yeah, yeah, that it makes it even cooler though. It's got all that history and wear and tear. I'm sure you probably
Yes.
had to work on it here and there to like keep it in good shape. So, yeah, very cool. Hmm.
I really love saturation and distortion, just coloring the voice with something crispy.
Hmm.
I'm a huge fan of Sound Toys. They make a plugin called Decapitator, which
Oh,
makes everything sound better, in my opinion.
called Decapitator. Okay.
Decapitator. Yeah, it adds this layer of grit. You can really make things sound horrendously gnarly in the best way, or you can use it subtly.
We're coming into Halloween. Do you have any kind of like favorite retro media? Doesn't have to be movies, but just media that kind of you feel like kind of really gets you in the mindset for recording or where you want to be when you make your music.
I always started picturing Jennifer Connelly's character from the film Dark City.
Mm, okay.
So I don't know if you've seen that movie, but it's very trippy, very dark and gritty, and just kind of strange. She's like a lounge singer in this city that is permanently nighttime. And I always just kind of, I don't know, picture myself in that space. So, yeah, creepy, slightly off kilter nightclub lounge singer in like a gorgeous dress. So, definitely moody, sultry, kind of smoky vibes.
Mhm. Yeah, there's
Yeah, if you
something
haven't
very
seen that movie, highly recommend it.
okay. No, I haven't, and I love Jennifer Connelly, so I will add that to my list of October movies to watch.
Yes,
Dark
it's so
City.
cool. Dark City.
Dark City. You've heard it from here, from Megan McDuffie. Um, Best holiday that exists, in my opinion, Halloween. You'd said earlier, get you husband, I think you mentioned you guys have kids, dogs, cats, all the above.
We have two kitties.
Two cats. Oh, so do I. They're both sitting near me right now. Um,
Oh, how sweet. Yeah,
yes,
we're cat
actually,
people.
Lou is actually in shot. There she is, my queen,
Oh, hi, Lou.
Lady Lou.
Aw,
Yeah, yeah, she's the best.
sweetie.
Yes, they're wonderful. I'm very fortunate to have both of them. So do we have plans for Halloween? You guys, go to parties, we dress up. What are your favorite traditions for the spookiest time of the year?
I am probably very clearly a big fan of Halloween.
Yeah.
Um, this year, and I'm just kind of smacking myself because it's on a Friday and I honestly don't have a single plan.
Oh wow.
Um, my husband and I are going the previous weekend, so not like on Halloween proper. We are going with a couple friends to a light show in the Chinese Garden in Seattle. And
Oh,
we've been to one that they did kind of in the holiday time, and it was very like space themed. But this one's supposed to be like dark and creepy forest for
okay.
Halloween. So that's going to be a trip. I don't have a costume, which is very weird for me. But this year has just been too chaotic, and it's like I'm not doing anything really. I'm just like sitting at home. So yeah.
So, last little kind of Halloween question I have for you here. I know you've worked with a bunch of different dark synth producers. You mentioned Alex, who's really awesome. I'm just curious if you were somehow found yourself stuck in a scene as a captive person in one of the Saw movies. Give me your like top three artists, dark synth kind of artists that you would want to have in that room with you.
Okay, let's see. Well, I would probably want my buddy Chad, aka Moonrunner 83, with me because he can talk his way out of anything.
He's the swindler.
So he's a lawyer by trade, so I think he could perhaps work some legal magic there. Um,
Sure.
I'll take Alex too, just because I don't think he would betray me.
That helps. Trustworthy.
That helps.
Yeah.
Who else? Let's just throw in a wild card. Perturbator, James Kent.
Oh yeah. Man, talk about some heavy
I
stuff.
don't, I, yeah, I don't know him personally, but I mean, he's gotten pretty far, so he must have some smarts.
I just based on his music, I feel like he might scare the little creepy doll in the Saw movies away himself.
There we go.
Yeah, it's crazy the backgrounds. After interviewing so many of the artists in this scene, the backgrounds, all the different things that these people do, it's truly such a really diverse group of people all over the country, all over the world. It feels like maybe I don't know, like maybe there's, a second chapter kind of beginning, if you will. And especially with how the world's changing and stuff like that, I can't imagine you're short on things to write about or feelings to express and stuff like that. So, where do you
Definitely
kind of?
not.
No, no, I can feel it myself. It's just bursting with creativity. It might be one of the only silver linings to all the crap that's going on right now is the re-burgeoning of like the dark music, the heavy stuff, the serious, the punk, the anti, you know, power and stuff like that, right? That scene kind of died, I feel like, when the new metal scene died in the 2000s.
Mm.
You know what I mean? At least it felt like that to me, and that shows my age. But uh, yeah, where do you kind of in this new world, this new era? Where do you kind of hope to see Megan McDuffie's music career take you in the next, yeah, let's say next 10 years?
Well, I kind of just want to keep doing what I'm doing, but amplified. So I would love to get back into film scoring. I think that would be so much fun. Yeah, to like kind of do my artist thing, but as a soundtrack to a really cool film. That would be great.
Hmm.
On the other side of that, just getting like a really cool placement, a license in a film or a TV show for a song that I've done,
Hmm.
there can be so much amazing exposure that happens from that. So I've had music in reality shows for years, but nothing like really featured. So it would be so cool if one of my tunes landed like the opening theme song of a show or opening credits of a really cool movie. So that's
Hmm.
definitely like on my bucket list. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing and sky's the limit, man.
Oh, I believe it. I think you there's yeah, I think there's just even more for you to do and more for you to conquer, if you will. And the film score thing, I'm rooting for you on that. Do you have anything like well, films are a little harder to predict, but are there any like television shows you think nowadays you go, oh yeah, that I feel like what I make would be perfect to fit on that?
I would love to have a song placed on American Horror Story. I think
Oh yeah,
there would
yeah.
be at some point the perfect scene with one of my tracks. Like that would be a good match, I think.
Do we have any new like fresh Megan McDuffie work that you're hoping to release in the next year, or are you kind of solely focused on?
Oh yeah.
Okay, hell yeah.
Oh no, I mean,
Hmm.
I've been trying and so far pretty much succeeding to release a single every single 4 to 6 weeks
Mhm.
since last summer. So I've done that, yeah, basically since the covers started popping off on Instagram. I was like, okay, I might as well release the ones that do really well as
Mhm.
full songs. And that's gone really well, which is awesome. I just released a song last Friday, so just less than a week ago, 6 days ago. An original, kind of in the same vibe as some of the covers. So very moody, very haunting, very
Mhm.
seasonally appropriate.
Yes.
I do have another release at the end of this month, which is a surprise. I'm not telling anybody what it is yet.
Ooh. And I couldn't for the life of me find, I tried to look online, but could not find any videos of you playing like live on a stage, at a venue. Is that something you've ever done? And if not, is that something you hope to, is that one of the maybe tools to amplify your sound going forward?
The logistics and the financial gain, which is not much. It's just, it
Yeah.
doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me. I heard one artist call it volunteering, which I thought was hilarious.
Mhm. Yeah. And for all the listeners, check out Megan McDuffie. Don't forget to do that. We're speaking with her. She's a Seattle-based dark synth. I don't know what other subgenres to really, synth pop doesn't feel right. I think dark synth kind of encapsulates it for the most part. But producer, songwriter, singer, got an excellent voice, and also video game scorer, composer. So just an overall really talented person. And it was so fun to chat with you. I just want to know, I've ran out of time and literally on this thing, but for all the SynthWorld listeners who are curious, who've heard the songs throughout the show, where can they go to get more, Megan McDuffie in their ears?
Well, I'm kind of everywhere. I definitely love people doing the OG download on Bandcamp. That is my primary source. Although Spotify is definitely where a lot of people live too, so I'm there. Love to get streams on Spotify. I'm also on Apple Music, YouTube. I'm kind of everywhere. So just search my name and you will find me.
Appreciate so much your time. I wish I had more of it with you. And the music that you create, it really is awesome. So, thank you again. Do you have any final words for the listeners before you go?
Uh, I don't know. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Hopefully checking me out, checking out the show, and have an awesome day wherever you are.
And happy Halloween, right? This will
Yes.
be for our second Halloween episode of the month. So hopefully you enjoy your
Perfect.
Halloween
Yes.
safe and sound. And yes. Well, thank you again, Megan McDuffie. Really appreciate your time. Until I see you next time, stay retro.